This is going to be the introductory video on our next project, which is going to be making flashcards with Flash. This program, in my own verbose way, is going to take 3 videos, partly because of length and partly because of technical glitches along the way. So enjoy. Alright, this is going to be the beginning of our second project in Flash, and as the title of the document says, we're going to be making flashcards in Flash. And my goal is that you would be making flashcards for either your math or science class, and this is going to give you an overview of what you should do before you actually start the project. Obviously, one of the things you need to do is pick a topic, and you need to get the topic approved. And as we go through this, you'll see what you'll need to do ahead of time. All right, you need to decide what kinds of questions you want to ask. There are going to be multiple choice that will use radio buttons. There will be fill in the blank that will use input text boxes. And given a definition, what is the term, which is going to be sort of like a fill in the blank, again using a input text box. You may decide that you want to use images and have the user identify what the image is, and I'm giving an example of that as we go along. Alright, if you're going to do that, you either are going to do a web search or you're going to draw the pictures yourself. If you do a web search, you're probably going to have to do some editing in Fireworks, and I'll show you a little bit about how to do that. And then finally, you want to save any of the images that you're going to use into a well-labeled folder so you can find them later. We're going to want to import all of the images that you're going to use into the library of your program. All right. You want to write out the questions in a Word document so that I can approve them, which may mean I'm going to go to your math or science teacher and say, hey, does this look reasonable? You need a minimum of 5 of them, and as I will later say, if this is a minimum, then you're not looking for much more than a minimum grade. You should have at least one of each of the each of the types of questions listed above. So a multiple choice, fill in the blank, and a definition. You should have one of each of these. And obviously, if you're going to have 5 questions or more, you'll have more than that. You may have a different type than I listed. I'm not sure what you would do, but that's fine by me. Just make sure that I know what you're doing. Have the questions and answers approved before you start so that everybody is happy with the questions. And you will have to turn in the questions on a Word doc to Moodle so that I can have them. And obviously the other thing you need to do is watch the introductory video, which is going to be coming up. So you need to do all of this ahead of time. The main thing is getting everything approved before you start. It would be a waste of your time to do a lot of work on something that you're not going to be able to use. All right, so let's look at starting your project, and I will show you all of this. So when we start the project, I will show you how to do all of this stuff. Having watched the introductory video, you should know how to make a basic card. Obviously, for flashcards, you need a card. In order to do that, in order to make this project, we need to start an ActionScript 2.0 document and save it as cards.fla. You should have the rulers and grids visible so you can line the cards up. I had 6 layers. You may want more than that. I had one for action, one for any of the images, a answer layer, a text layer which would have something like a question or something of that nature, a layer for the card itself, and a layer for the button. The next thing you're going to do once you have all this laid out is draw a basic card And one of the things you want to do is be sure that the background, or excuse me, the fill of the rectangle is one that is not going to distract from any text or images on the card. As you'll see, I chose a very blah color. Be sure that the card is placed on the card layer. Obviously, that would be easiest if we lock all of the layers except for the card layer. You want to make sure that you convert the card to a movie clip and save it to the library so we can haul them out and use more of them later. You want to add a next button and a go button and place them on the button layer. Next says we're going to go on to the next card, and go is so that when you have made an answer, you can then click the go button to get it checked. You want to write some sort of introductory text using static text on the text layer, and we'll show you an example, and then save and hand this in for the first segment. So basically your setup is going to be your first project. All right, so let's look at this. All right, this is my first frame, and you'll notice there are my layers. I have action, image, answer, text, card. Notice that card is next to the bottom, so everything gets piled up on top of it, and then we go on for the button. And I have a next button and a go button, and if we look at the properties and I click on this, it's next BTN and go underscore BTN. Excuse me, next is next underscore BTN. All right, so you're going to have all of this. This basically says welcome to Chem flashcards, because that was where I started, and I really ought to change that. So let's get our text tool, and I want static text, so I'm going to choose this and welcome to Flash flashcards. And now what I'm going to do is give the user some information. So okay, so there we go. We have some introductory text, and I can sort of line it up there. All right, so you will notice as we go along that I've actually changed the Flash program that I used for my instruction. We now say welcome to flashcards made with Flash. This text is about the same. I have fewer frames, and I have a layer for radio button as opposed to answer. You will find that the answer is going to be part of the card itself. So I have an action, an image, a response, which is going to be what the computer says to me, radio button when I need it, a text, a button, or excuse me, a text, a card, and a button layer. All right, so that's slightly different, but either way you're going to be fine. If you have that where I had answer, you'll end up putting your radio buttons. All right, so that gives you a little bit of correction. It shows you that as I went through this, I changed my mind, which is not uncommon. So there you go, the beginnings.